Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Digital Events with Microsoft Teams webinar. My colleague and I are really looking forward to delivering today's session with you all. The webinar today will be powered by Opsgility, and for those who don't know, we're a premier Microsoft Learning partner, as well as a Microsoft Gold partner. To introduce myself, my name is Amanda Reberberry, and I'm one of our customer success managers here. I work heavily with Microsoft Teams on a daily basis, as I mainly focus on our virtual conference manager offering, which we'll definitely get into later on today. I work with clients throughout their entire event journey, from discovery to agenda build and production, through to delivery and post-event support. It's my driving factor to ensure that all of my clients deliver a successful event that achieves their purpose of the event and in the most memorable fashion. I'm super delighted to have my colleague here with me today, David. So without further ado, David, I'll pass it over to you.
Good morning, Amanda. Yeah, thank you very much. Super excited to be here with you, be partnering with you on this. I am what you would probably call an event lover. I just love the event world, the event industry. Was very fortunate in my career. I've worked with Marriott, I've worked with Gaylord, I've worked with Hilton, primarily as a conference and convention runner in some large convention hotels that they've had. And so I'm excited to kind of see where the industry is headed as it moves forward in this virtual and kind of hybrid world that we have. I do definitely agree with you. I love getting involved with the clients at the beginning of the process, working with them to develop an engaging and a compelling and an exciting event that then gets delivered out to their to their people, whether that be customers or employees, members of an organization, kind of whatnot, things like that. So love the fact that we're here today talking about teams and how people can take the investment they've already made with Microsoft and really leverage the team environment to put these events on and the different ways that can be done, and then how our product, Virtual Conference Manager, will help people kind of take that to the next level and really help deliver a great event for their people moving forward. And I know kind of for us, what we're excited about too, Amanda, is that this is really kind of step one of a process that we're taking. So, what else do we have coming up that people could join us as we talk about this new world of events and virtual events?
You're absolutely right. It's definitely going to be a journey, which we're excited to take everybody on with us. So today, like we had said earlier, we're definitely going to be touching on how to leverage your existing Microsoft Teams investment to deliver these digital events. We'll get into how to organize your event team and best practices around it, and then really deep dive into how to best leverage your Teams meetings and Teams Live to achieve those goals. From there, we'll give you insight on how to maintain audience engagement in a virtual world, and then finally wrap up with Virtual Conference Manager. Throughout the next month, we will be hosting 2 additional webinars, which are listed here. One of them, so the Virtual Events 101, our team will go into detail in a more granular webinar around hosting your first virtual event. And the following one on hybrid events is one where the team will walk us through what the new norm to be is on how to embrace hybrid events, and furthermore, really how to deliver one. So really, to kick this one off, David, I want to throw it back to you and just hear more about, in your experience, why is it important for organizations to continue hosting their events virtually?
Yeah, that is a really great question. I think it's one that people have been asking themselves the past year since the pandemic kind of started and put people into social distancing for health and safety reasons. Companies sent employees home to work from home. How do you keep them connected and interacted and engaged and things like that? And one of the reasons I love the event industry, and I have really enjoyed being a part of it throughout my career, is the people. Is the ability to meet new people, to interact with new people, to give people an experience that they may not have necessarily had before, and you're delivering that to them through the events that you're doing. Because really, events are about people, and compelling events are about people and connecting them. And so throughout the process, there's really 3 things that I like to keep in mind, or 3 things that need to be considered as folks are planning their events and thinking about what they're going to do. You need an engagement strategy, whether that strategy is to keep your clients engaged, to keep members of an organization engaged, keep your employees engaged. You need to have an engagement strategy that is ongoing. So that would be something to consider why you would be doing events. A message that you want to deliver, and the clarity of that message is something that you need. You need to know what you're trying to get across, and what you want your people to remember, to learn, what that message is going to be. And you want to give them a great experience. Live events, people would throw all sorts of bells and whistles and tricks, and I have had opening keynote sessions with acrobats and magicians and bands and really great masters of ceremonies getting the crowd warmed up, to really take that attendee experience over the top. Same thing can be done in the virtual world. There are ways that Teams, Virtual Conference Manager, that we can help you with that attendee experience. The events are about fueling connection. They're about fueling learning and engagement. And so keeping these three things in mind, your engagement strategy, your message, and that experience will help you drive the technology that you're going to use and those decisions on how you're going to put that event on. We feel Microsoft Teams is the platform to use, and we'll get into that as we go forward. And just ensuring that your content has a life cycle to it, that your attendees can get the content, they will want to continue to learn. There's that interaction, there's next questions, things like that. But while events are also about people, events are also about engagement. Of the people, again, the customers, the clients, members of the organization, whatnot. As we were kind of reading up and doing some research going into this, what I found striking was, Forbes has said, a year ago, people got sent home and they're now working from home. 42% of these employees were experiencing increased stress levels since they began working from home. I've got 3 kids. I became a 3rd grade teacher to my youngest all of a sudden while trying to manage a workload, while trying to worry about the health and safety of my family. So the stress levels have increased since this pandemic began, and it's starting to show an engagement and interaction in people with, their work or their organizations or community, places like that. Gallup says that disengaged employees are costing the United States economy $500 billion a year because people just don't feel connected to their work. They don't feel connected to the community, and it's really costing us. But if we can take events and use them as a strategy for engagement, what employees are seeing is 54% of employees say if they have that sense of strong community. So maybe you just get people together to celebrate anniversaries, celebrate birthdays, to do interacting with coworkers, that keeps them at the company longer because they're feeling engaged. And then 70% of executives are agreeing that if the employee experience is good, the employees are engaged, that's leading to better customer experience, which in turns would obviously say that leads to increased revenue growth. That's also from Forbes, that's out there. And then hybrid events, virtual events, so why we feel they're important, they're not going anywhere. It is going to be the evolution as it moves forward. 62% of meeting planners say that the future of events is hybrid. And that's through eventmanagerblog.com. So it's important for companies, organizations out there to have a strategy for engagement, to understand what technology they're going to use, and then applications and platforms like ours that can help them maximize those decisions. Because by 2028, it said that 73% of all departments will have remote employees working in them. So if you haven't already started thinking about how you're going to keep people engaged and what events and technology you're going to use to do that, now is the time to begin doing that. And then I've always found, I started my career with Marriott, and several years ago, Marriott did a study where they got with thousands of meeting and event professionals, and they did focus groups, and they did surveys, and they did studies all around the purpose of events. Why are people putting on events, and why would you put on an event? They found seven reasons why that would happen, and I wanted to get into those, kind of briefly, just so we can talk about why you're doing it. Right? Celebration. pull people together. And again, we're going to commemorate a milestone or an accomplishment. Your organization may have had the best sales year they've ever had, and they want to celebrate that. They maybe very simply every month they want to get together and celebrate accomplishments and birthdays and anniversaries. They want to keep people connected and excited and engaged by celebrating the work and accomplishments that they've done. You know, another reason why people get together is they need to decide something. You know, that event is focused on a meaningful dialogue so that an outcome or a direction can be initiated. So you've got a problem or a situation out there that some decisions need to be made. You're going to pull everybody together to make a decision and to decide what those next steps are moving forward. You know, Opsgility started as a training platform with Microsoft. So again, you can educate, and really you're looking to impart knowledge. You're hoping that attendees will learn a new skill or a new line of thinking. They'll acquire something new for them. Maybe it's a certification. They want to become a database administrator or an MS365 administrator. So you're going to educate them through these various events to help them pull that off. You also may need to do some innovation, to come up with new ideas, to ideate is what it was called. And that event is specifically for that. You want to come up with a new way of thinking or a new way of doing things. You know, you get people together to collaborate, come up with these new ideas. You very simply may want people to meet each other. You may have a bunch of new employees at your place of work, or you may have a bunch of new members of your organization, and you want to give them the opportunity to meet each other, learn a little bit about each other, start building a relationship. So you will just simply want them to network and get to know each other. Sometimes you need to pull people together to produce a solution, to produce a new product. So a produce event is one that calls for people to use collaboration towards a specific goal or to develop a specific output through that event. And then finally, promotion. The event is to introduce a new offering, it's to introduce a new product or service, a new idea, a new message. Your CEO has a new mission statement for the company and he wants to promote it. So he needs to run an event to get to promote that message and kind of get it out there. So understanding why you're doing the events, understanding what the purpose of it is, can also help you decide what's the best technology to use for that, whether it's a Teams meeting, it's a Teams live, and using virtual conference manager to the different options that we have, which one is going to best maximize that Teams experience for you to deliver this event. So Amanda, I'm just wondering, in your experience, why is Microsoft Teams the right choice for events?
Great question. To me, quite obvious, of course. So to me, Teams really is the best choice because it's a highly interactive and intuitive and collaborative application, right? So it allows a customer to really bring in that in-person event feel to this virtual world that we're all trying to mold to, right? So firstly, supercharged communication, it fosters just targeted communication across teams in an organization. It definitely allows for increased productivity through focused collaboration. There's so many collaborative opportunities and features that Teams provides. The fact that Teams is integrated into Microsoft 365, it makes the entire Office suite available to utilize, but also allows third-party applications as well. It does allow you to sync your existing appointments with other members of your team and even external guests as well, making it really easy and seamless to schedule these meetings and hold the meetings. We definitely all know people. We have some people in organizations or our lives that get dozens of emails every single hour of the day. So a notification of a new email is very easy to just slip on by and not even realize you got one. So Teams can reduce the risk of missing a really important message or a really important email, because you could utilize mentions and highlights and just directly message that contact that you're trying to reach. On the security side of things, Teams is highly secure with multi-factor authentication, single sign-on through Active Directory, and encryption of data, whether it's in transit or at rest. And then finally, and really simply, Teams can be accessed anywhere, anytime, on any device. Really just all you need is that internet connection. So David, I'm going to throw this back to you again. Knowing all the benefits now that come from Microsoft Teams, what kind of events are possible to deliver and really experience and get those benefits with Teams?
Yeah, thank you. So I've been really fortunate throughout my career to get to work with a lot of different type of events, from very simple one-day board meetings all the way up to multi-day conferences and expositions where you're bringing people together from around the world, and delivering the message and giving them the experience that they have. And so doing these events, there are going to be different reasons why. So one scenario is a webinar, right? Similar to what we're doing today. We want to give you, we want to teach you something about Microsoft Teams. We want to teach you something about Virtual Conference Manager. This is going to be recorded. We will have it available later on one of our channels. So you can actually do webinars pre-recorded. Amanda and I are actually doing this live today, but we could have recorded this and played it. You're really looking to drive some engagement around what we're doing. So, people may decide that they want to do a webinar to, kind of get some education out there. Virtual conferences, they need to take a conference feeling, like whether you're in a convention center, in a hotel, in an event center, whatever, and you want to make a virtual conference for yourself with keynote sessions and breakout sessions and networking and entertainment and things like that. So, you may want to run a virtual conference. Teams is going to allow you to do that and maximize your experience. Like we talked about a little bit earlier with the purposes, your purpose may be education. So you want to drive an online community of a group of people who are all learning the same thing, working towards again, it could be a certification for like a database administrator, and give you a chance to do live teachings, recorded teachings, and small study focus groups. Things like that. You may want to just build an online community type of event to get to a specific goal. Your leadership, whether it be the leadership of a company, the leadership of an organization, you may want to pull people together to kind of give them an update on where things stand, but also have that be interactive and have questions and answers and get that feedback going back and forth and just have a good conversation going, kind of a town hall style. Again, Teams will allow you to do that. Or very simply, your CEO may want to get up and talk about the state of the company, and they want all the focus to be on them, and they want all the bells and whistles of production and great lighting and branding and entertainment, things like that. And it's more of a broadcast where it's going to be that CEO broadcasting that message out to people. Again, absolutely, Teams can help you do that. And Teams meetings, Teams live events, they absolutely can be self-produced. You could pull this together yourself, get all the I's dotted and the T's crossed, get the details set up. What we have found, the bigger, the more complex the event is, then you really do want to start looking at the type of event team that you have and the help that you're giving yourself to pull everything together. And very similar to live events, right? You have a main meeting planner, someone who's keeping track of all the details. Maybe you have someone that's looking out after your audio visual. You have your speakers and whatnot. You're going to have the same thing in a virtual or a hybrid event. You still need an organizer. You need someone who is making sure the details are being covered, that the planning is staying on point, and due dates and deadlines are being met. So you will still need that organizer that's out there. You're also going to need a producer, someone who's looking after the technology to make sure that are we in the right type of Teams event, whether it be a Teams meeting or a Teams live. You know what, this is a killer keynote that we're going to need to stream, a little more advanced production, things like that, and have the team there to help you do that and make sure that the technology is on point and that it's ready to perform on the day of the event. Every event needs great presenters, and it's even more important now when almost all events and we're live. Presenters could kind of fall back on, they could get that interaction going with attendees who are sitting right in front of them and get a banner going back and forth with this, and they can kind of get a feel for the room to know where their presentation would go. More and more though, presenters are now, similar to we are today, talking into a computer screen. It's almost like we're having a FaceTime chat back and forth, kind of going through this. So the the presentation skills of the people who are doing it, the content, all of that needs to be amped up. Because doing these presentations now, you don't have that fallback of having a live audience to kind of feed off of. You need to be able to drive that energy, and the content needs to keep people engaged as they're moving forward. And the bigger and bigger these get, you will want to consider bringing in moderators, people to help the presenters in a Teams meeting by starting and stopping the recordings, monitoring the chat for appropriate questions and answers, so the presenters can focus on their presentation and the moderators can kind of help run the show. And on the big ones, to have that IT team behind the scenes, making sure that the website is stable, the technology is good. If there are any hiccups that come up, they can be dealt with quickly and immediately to kind of keep the program and the event moving forward. You're going to want to have those IT administrators there on hand as you build that team. So very similar to a live event, you're doing the same thing in these virtual and these hybrid events moving forward. And in my experience too, and Amanda, I think you've seen it as well, no matter how seasoned and how deep the event team is, something's going to happen. There's going to be a hiccup somewhere along the way. So Amanda, in your experience, what are the some common issues or pitfalls that we've seen, and what can we do to avoid them?
Yeah, David, it's so true, and I couldn't agree any more to this. Like you had said, no matter how experienced or seasoned that event team is, we have all had hiccups here or there. 100% correct. But there are some things that are in our control, of course. So those few things I think we control ahead of time, that could help us avoid some of the most common issues that a lot of our clients face with digital events. And so one of those things is time to prepare. You want to think and work proactively and give yourself plenty of time to prepare for the event. So just like with in-person events, dry runs and rehearsals are key to success. You want to have these rehearsals days, if not weeks, in advance. It's just as important in the virtual world. It could bring up maybe some kinks we need to iron out, some nerves we need to get out of our system. So just as important virtually as it is in person. Next, service and network health. I think this is definitely a new item to add to the checklist that maybe in person we didn't really have to think of, but now that's just again a new item that we have to think of. So really ensuring that your service is strong and your network is healthy. Key factors really to check in on prior to the event. So in certain situations, for example, a client who is running an event that lives in a location that has really spotty service, it's in and out, that's something that maybe you want to suggest, go back to hardwired service Wi-Fi, right? And try to avoid service drops or freezes and glitches. Next, we say content quality. So it kind of goes along with what David, you were speaking about earlier, content quality and presentation skills hand in hand. So for content quality, say in person, like you had said, these seasoned presenters, may be able to engage the audience quite easily. But think about just being behind a computer. I know for me, it is a bit weird because you don't get to see the audience, you don't get to hear them and see their face, their body reactions of how you're doing almost, right? So without that in-person interaction, it can be even more important that the quality of the content that you're delivering is interesting, it's concise, it's aesthetically appealing. And maybe where can we add in humor, right? Where can we add in something just to break up the content a little bit? Which brings me to the next point of presentation skills. So it's a common issue, again, that maybe you might not think of for your first virtual event. And maybe you might think, I'm not as scared to present virtually because nobody sees me. But in reality, it might be more daunting than you think. So again, it's really just time for those dry runs and those rehearsals with your presenters to allow them to practice with you and get really comfortable with this virtual setting. And then lastly, but definitely not least, is your event support. It's extremely important to have support during delivery of these events, whether it's something like your Wi-Fi dropping, right? Or maybe you're helping a presenter deliver, maybe they have a question, you're helping control their slides, but an attendee in the audience has a question that needs nurturing. For reasons like that and so many more, I would say it's really, really important to ensure that you have support scheduled ahead of time during those delivery days. So now that we've gone through, I think, the format of your event and what we can do to avoid some common issues, it's time to really start envisioning the conference overall, and how Microsoft Teams can support that overall vision. So if you see here, you definitely want to think about what your event type is. Now, whether that's single, a series of events, or like David, you had said earlier, an engagement community or an online communities. And then from there, envision the experience that you want your attendees to have. Based off of that vision, that will finally bring you to what video production will be required for that type of event and experience. So at the bottom here, you can see a few different event examples, which we'll definitely go into in more detail over the next number of slides. So I'm just going to keep this one moving to the next slide here. And this is where we get a bit more granular. So we've had this big envision of our conference, and now we want to think about how we're going to format the delivery of each session within our conference. And so Teams offers live events, which are great for sessions like your keynotes and high profile sessions. Teams meetings, which are great for more interactive sessions, and recently released their breakout feature, which is amazing for breaking off into smaller groups with maybe more focused collaboration. Additionally, it's not on here, but Microsoft actually just announced a new feature. It's their webinar feature, or format, should I say, which allows you to connect with audiences with integrated registration, multi-presenter support, and interactive participation. I know, David, I'm thrilled. I cannot wait to use the webinar feature. It looks amazing from what I've seen. So really excited for that one to come out as well. And so from here, we're going to take a deep dive into these formats over the next number of slides. So David, knowing everything that just mentioned, let's just start with Teams meetings here. So what should we know about hosting events in Teams meetings?
Appreciate that, Amanda. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm excited to kind of get into Teams meetings, what they can do. So, things to keep in mind with Teams meetings, they are a maximum of 300 attendees. It's really kind of, we're going to drive interaction, we're going to drive collaboration in that type of a setting. All of the participants can use a webcam or a microphone. You can also share content and big content. PowerPoint slides can go up to 2 gigabytes. So you can really load that thing up with videos and demonstrations and information that's sharing that meeting and keep it going. What's great about Teams is it gives you the ability to record the meetings and keep them for about 20 days. Now you can upload them to Microsoft Stream and then they'll stay longer. But if you just kind of keep them in Teams, they'll stay for about 20 days and give you access to go back. Again, the life cycle of the content, people can review it, make sure they caught everything they needed to catch. Maybe they want to relearn a process that was talked about. Teams will give them the ability to do that. And really, so those are the parameters. What are the benefits of a team meeting? It is great. Teams is great for interaction and collaboration, and not only internally to your organization, but you can invite external participants as well. I know my kids' schools like to do fundraisers, silent auctions, things like that. They put these committees together for people to get together and plan the events. Well, Teams is a great setting for that, to kind of pull people together and plan the event, collaborate, things like that, because it gives you the ability to do screen sharing and work on documents in real time. So again, you could be planning the event, somebody could be taking notes, somebody else could be editing a document, everybody's seeing it, you're kind of maximizing everybody's time, really increasing that productivity through that collaboration. Teams does have some really great accessibility features. You can do live closed captioning on there, and if I remember right, it's about 6 languages that they have so far. So we don't need to have language be something that's a barrier, because we can turn captioning on and people can participate and stay involved and stay engaged in that Teams meetings. Teams also, Microsoft's done a great job about allowing applications like Whiteboard, or Poly for polling. Virtual Conference Manager is an application that is added through Teams. So Microsoft's done a great job of allowing you to add those applications to Teams, which is then going to allow you to take Teams, even bigger and better and over the top in working with your organizations and how you're going to use it. Again, it has that ability to record with the recordings, and you can then at the end go get a transcript of the meeting. So if it was a board of directors and we need to pull that transcript for history, whatever your company's rules may be, Teams does that for you and allows you to pull that. And just being able to use a webcam and a microphone is helpful. You can kind of get some face-to-face interaction. You're not just doing a phone call, but you're actually being able to look somebody in the eye, so to speak, through the camera, and keep the conversation going, keep the collaboration going. Teams also has some really cool features to it. They've got like really great backgrounds that people can use through it. They have got the ability to raise a hand. So in this example here, our friend here in the upper corner, he's got a question. So he was able to go into a feature in Teams and kind of raise his hand to let everybody else know, hey, I need to make a point or I need to ask a question. People can show a little bit of personality through it as well. As you see here, everybody has kind of a little bit different background that they're using. One guy's really into his gaming there in the middle. Other people maybe want a little more simple. I kind of like the blurred background myself. Other people want to make it look like they're in some cool futuristic office. So Teams allows you to add a little bit of personality in there as well with the backgrounds that are being offered. Teams also with these apps like Whiteboard. So you've got a situation or a problem or a question that you're trying to work through. Teams allows you to get in there. People can add their notes. They're keeping it. They're collaborating back and forth. And so as you can see here, it can be pretty real time when you're doing that. So I think that's a great feature that Teams has. You may just have a group that you want to pull everybody together. And you want to use together mode that they have. And some of them can be really like you want to give these three people are given a panel discussion. And so they want to kind of feel a little beachy there, right? Or an auditorium, pull everybody together and have them feel that they're again connected and they're in one room. I really love the together mode features that Teams have. So Teams meetings, again, allows you to be very collaborative. It's smaller groups, 300 people. Everybody can use a microphone. They can use a webcam, so that interaction is there, and you're driving that engagement that we're looking for. But Teams, while those benefits are great for small meetings, when you start getting bigger and bigger and more high profile and keynotes, Teams Live is really probably the best format to choose for that. And Amanda, what should we know about hosting events in Teams Live?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, David, for that overview of Teams meetings. It's one of my favorite things to be in on Teams. But to your point, yeah, Teams Live is a great format for your large events, your high profile, your keynotes. Really, really great format for that for a number of reasons. And so before I get into the benefits, similarly to your Teams meetings, there's some parameters that Teams Live events have as well. And so the maximum number of attendees at the minute is 20,000. In a Teams Live event, only presenters and producers can utilize a webcam and a microphone. So your attendees don't have that option, but they do have a chat-based live Q&A. Now, the duration of one single Teams Live event at the minute can run up to 16 hours, and it does allow you the ability to run up to 50 concurrent Teams Live events. So if you want to have maybe 20 live events happening across an organization, it's absolutely feasible and doable with Teams Live. So the benefits, I mean, there's countless benefits of Teams Live events. It's a great feature of Teams. And so firstly, it really allows you to give that broadcast style presentation and delivery. And it gives attendees the ability to watch it live or on demand, which you'll see in an image momentarily. There's distinct roles on the back end of live events, and so we can set people to be presenters, producers, and of course everybody else attendees. If we are going to bring in moderators to help moderate the Q&A, we could even assign them that presenter role so they get to see the questions coming in and really control and moderate those, which brings me to moderated Q&A. As attendees want to interact with presenters, they would chat in a question, and that would come to what we call the green room, where the presenters would sit, And the moderators can review those questions first before publishing that to the live stream, which is such a great feature. There's the structure and delivery, I guess, of the event, right? That can be to both internal and external audiences on live events. You can create them to be organization-wide, but also public. I think, David, you had touched on the 7 purposes of an event earlier, which I absolutely loved. And a Teams live event really allows a great driver or platform to highlight those purposes, especially I think those for leadership ones, for education as well. The ability to automatically record. So these Teams live events can be automatically recorded. They could be available once the event's over for attendees to rewatch again, and you could choose that feature to be on or off. It's completely up to you. But there's such accessibility features that come with it as well, likewise to Teams meetings. These recordings can come with a transcript of the event, but there's also now live closed captioning available in Teams Live, which I'm going to show you an image of in just a slide or two. So, like I said, numerous benefits. I'm sure I can go on with even more down the list. So just to show you some images there. This one is an attendee view, just to show you the chat-based Q&A. So maybe it's just the presenter speaking without content, and on the right, I get to see questions that other attendees might be asking. Here, you'll see the accessibility features I'd mentioned earlier with the live closed captioning. You could even see in the bottom left there the on-demand feature where I could pause, maybe I have to run, fill up my coffee. I could pause and then play it right when I get back. And then lastly, if you can get something as simple as maybe it's just a situation where you want to have presenters and just their content. Maybe it's just presentations or PowerPoints. You don't need all the bells and whistles. Teams Live allows for that as well. So it can be simplified if you'd like. And so in this situation, there's a presenter with just a PowerPoint going through her presentation. That does bring me, I think, to this next part, David, which I want to bring you in on. Is that's a more simple view, but what if I want to take the energy, the bells and whistles, and all that comes with in-person, town halls and leadership broadcasts, etc., right, and deliver that virtually? Is that possible to do on Teams?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely great, really great question. Absolutely, it is, and whether that's in a virtual conference setting. Again, the town hall that we talked about earlier, or that CEO making the public broadcast, you may have some really great, knowledgeable speakers that you want to put into a panel and really have them talk about a particular topic or focus on something for you. All of that is possible through Teams. And again, because Teams allows this easy use of applications, and that there are a lot of different applications out there in the industry where people can do this high level, high scale production and give that experience virtually to the attendees, similar to what they may experience in a live event. Virtual Conference Manager also as well has a couple of different products that we have that we will help with advanced production with Virtual Conference Manager. Enterprise, which is where we are going to put our product, our VCM, our app into your Teams environment, into your Teams tenant, so to speak. This then allows us to use these higher advanced productions. Also what we call professional, where we're actually kind of giving everybody credential to use to get into the environment. That also then allows for these advanced levels of productions. And really this advanced production, when you see it, it's almost like you're looking at a mixing board, right? Because you can run different settings. I can have a band on the East Coast. My master of ceremonies is in Texas, and my CEO is going to keynote from his home in Florida. You can pull all these together, you mix them, you get everybody set up just right, and then you send it and you stream it out to your attendees who are viewing. And again, as we talked about earlier, when you start getting into a little more complex of these type of advanced solutions, the event team's going to grow. We're going to want to bring in some people who are familiar with this that can really help you fine tune everything and kind of knock it out. But also, you do not lose accessibility when you start going into these advanced productions, because there are, again, applications and platforms out there that you can pull into the advanced production, do the live captioning like that's being done here, or sign language interpreters, things like that, to again make it accessible for more of your attendees to be able to watch and view. All that's possible, and we're happy to help you kind of manage that process and walk you through the steps of how to make it happen and really take those type of advanced production events over the top and deliver, your message and the engaging event that you want to deliver to your attendees. And it's great. We talked about Teams meetings, we've talked about advanced productions, we talked about Teams Live, but again, we started this off by talking about engagement. And keeping your attendees engaged. And so, Amanda, I know that Teams allows for different fun little ways to keep attendees engaged, and I'm wondering if you could, teach us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no problem. It's actually, I think, one of the most fun parts of the job. I absolutely love this part of it, of really engaging your audience. It's one of my favorite things to talk about and deliver. And so there's numerous ways we're going to go into briefly here. But firstly, Teams meeting mixers. And so essentially, this is using Teams meetings to create that mixer networking environment. And of course, that can hold up to 300 people per mixer. But we always even suggest and throw out the idea of maybe making them topic specific. I think, that topic specific type of mixer can really help engage the audience or entice them to jump into the networking, because they know others in the room are interested or engaged in the same exact idea and topic. Likewise, we have another type of networking offering, and this really is tied to our virtual conference manager solution, which David will go into in just a second. But it's speed networking. And so speed networking, sounds kind of silly or funny, but if you think of the concept of speed dating, it's what we brought into the networking world. And so it allows for maybe those people who are a little bit hesitant to network with others, a little bit timid, to just jump into it, pick a topic to network on, and a little bit, say maybe a sentence or two about themselves. And then when they join a queue, they're randomly paired with anywhere from one person up to 9 other people who are interested in the same topic and brought into a meeting together. And so it kind of does all that for you, puts you in that situation so that all you have to do now is just speak about that topic. It's an awesome feature. Some other engaging, I guess, or ways we can engage our audience would be through Poly. And Poly is one of those applications that Teams allows us to utilize in meetings, which is such a great, fun feature. So you could do polls with Poly, which will spark instant engagement. You get real-time results for all to see. And you could build a poll ahead of time if you want to be really prepared, and you could launch it when you're ready, or you could build a poll in real time during an event. And so when you launch the poll, it will come up in your chat as well as in the middle of your screen. And like I said, you get to see how people are answering in real time. Trivia as well with Poly is so exciting to me. The team and I actually just did this the other day. It's great for a social hour or lunch hour. And you could do things to test general knowledge on your team. Maybe you want to step away maybe from the topic or the education piece and just bring in humanity or humor to this, right? You could choose from a variety of categories. It could be about animals, TV shows of the 90s, things of that sort. And you could choose how many questions, the time frame, and you get leadership standings in real time. And you'll see in the bottom image a leadership board at the very end. So just a fun little thing to bring into these events. And then lastly is using forms. So again, forms is another application to utilize in Teams. And I think it's great for surveys and evaluation forms. It allows you to do this in real time every day of your event. You could send out the link to people publicly or just in your organization, and it shows your results in real time, but also allows you to collect those results and those responses and easily export those to Excel. Maybe you want to just gather the report and analyze it with your team offline. So from here, I think, David, we kind of touched on it earlier, but there's all of these amazing features and capabilities from Teams, and now we just talked about engaging the audience. So can you tell us how Virtual Conference Manager can kind of help tie all this together and provide us with that conference experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. What I love about Virtual Conference Manager is it's allowing you to take a conference experience and take it virtual. In a conference experience, you have like these big rooms for large keynotes. There's places where people can lounge and network. You may have an exhibition hall where you've got vendors set up to display their goods or talk to people about how they can help them in whatever they're doing. You got the smaller rooms, right, for your breakout sessions and your learning sessions and areas like that. Well, the great thing about Virtual Conference Manager is we allow you to do that virtually. We have a very flexible conference design where you can choose, yes, I want an exit, want a network. All that can be done, and we can help you build that. You can personalize the schedule. You can give the attendee the ability to go in and say, oh, I really like that session. I really like that speaker. Choose the sessions that they're going to attend. It builds them then a schedule in their version, the one that they're looking at. We call it My Sessions, and then it helps them manage their day to know, well, I need to go to join this event, I need to go join this event. We make it easy for the attendees to kind of get from one event to the next through the platform. You may have some really great speakers that you want to highlight. We do have a speakers page that allows you to put out their picture and their social media links and their bios, their biographies of who they are. It also will then list out what sessions that they're presenting, and then giving your attendees the opportunity to kind of pick and choose. I want to go listen to that one with that speaker A, and I want to listen to that one with that speaker B. Great feature that we have in Virtual Conference Manager. The ability to build different types of breakout sessions, whether they're large, 100, 200 kind of seminar tracks, down to smaller, more intimate focus groups or training sessions. We can help you kind of build that as well. And then, as Amanda just mentioned, that great feature of speed networking. Set up different topics. What was your favorite TV show you watched during quarantine? What food event did you learn to cook? Where's your favorite place to travel? And then give you an opportunity to be paired up with other people who want to discuss that same topic and get to meet some new people and get to experience that through the networking. That networking is just a really great feature that we have in there. And I know, Amanda, that maybe we have a way that we can kind of highlight this, kind of show off what our platform can do to help people out.
Yeah, no problem. I would love to. And something I just want to tag on there as well is just, I think accessibility is so important to us as a company, and I think it should be to everybody across the board. And so just to really point out that our platform is an accessible platform. We do comply with the WCAG compliance, and it's something that we try to maintain as a focal point as well. And so just wanted to bring that point up there. But I would love to show just a really brief overview here. And so I'm logged in here to just an example event. And I'm going to go through briefly what it could look like. So this home screen, this landing page, completely customizable to be an image, a video, etc. And like we mentioned earlier, you can have a fixed conference, an open conference, a mix of both. And so we can have maybe a fixed schedule where your attendees log in and they get a fixed schedule of all their sessions that are available on the agenda, and they could just join from there. Or maybe you want a personalized schedule where attendees can join in and build their own agenda. And if that's the case, they just visit the session tab at the top or here. And if you see, you can view all the sessions available in the conference or in the event, and you could filter in so many ways by text. Maybe you want to see events or sessions that are happening by day, a certain time, certain speakers, and even by these labels. So if I just want to see all the breakouts that are happening, I could view them here, see the speakers, look at the description of the event, and maybe I want to add this one, Teams 101, to my schedule. I simply press register, and maybe I want to add this one as well, Microsoft 365 Fundamentals. I'll throw in a keynote. Let's see this one. And now that I've registered for those three, if I go back to my schedule, you'll see that those sessions are now on my schedule. So I have the breakouts that I registered for, the keynote, and the other breakout. As simple as that. There's an expo hall. So we offer, like David said, a virtual exhibit hall. And now we can customize the tiers. They don't have to be necessarily headline, gold, platinum, etc. You can customize them to whatever you'd like your tiers to say, or just have no tiers. You could see here, If any of your sponsors or your exhibitors have their own sessions that they're going to host and run throughout your event, a calendar icon will appear underneath their logo. You could click it, see what sessions they're running in the event, the description, when they're happening. If you just click on a logo, it'll bring you into their booth. We have multiple layouts of sponsor booths. This is just one, and you can see that there's so much that comes with the booth, whether it's session calendars for sponsors, which is a great feature, to run their own little mini sessions. Maybe it's a small webinar, a demonstration, a Q&A, whenever you're having breaks or at lunch, etc. There's a chat feature, so maybe if I just want to chat directly with that sponsor, I can press this, and then we can watch videos, download handouts, and a really cool feature here I just want to bring up is called Scan Your Badge, and think of that as a virtual like business card exchange. Or I don't know anybody on the call if they've been to a Microsoft event, but similar to like a Microsoft Inspire, you have a badge that you walk around with. So instead of scanning badges, this is how you do that virtually. And so you could press your scan your badge, and you could fill out this information voluntarily to provide to that sponsor. You can go back to the expo hall or back to your conference where your schedule is. But just super quickly to show you a different layout, maybe you do different layouts based off of tiers. Here's another example of a different booth where they have a banner, almost it looks like resembles a 3D booth, right? They have their banner up top, different layout, different formats, but still a number of the same options. And then we have a speakers tab, which is really a place to highlight all of your speakers of the event. With the headshot, their titles. You can have speaker info, which will go into a brief biography. And then we can link social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Networking, David touched on, but just to show you again what it looks like, you could pick a topic to network on. And I think a great feature here is if an attendee tries to network at a time what you're running in a session, a keynote session, it won't let you network outside of the time frame you set it for. So it really helps drive traffic to your sessions rather than people getting distracted elsewhere. And then lastly, this interact button or tab up here, it brings you into a Teams environment where you can not only chat with attendees, but you can have your own team for your event where you can post general announcements, maybe have files to give out, as well as the expo hall has their own team. So every sponsor can have their own channel where not only I can go and speak to maybe the representatives of Sony, but maybe they have announcements and they have files they want to upload here as well. So that's just a brief overview of what VCM could look like for you. And I think, that's pretty much wrapping it up. So I'll leave the floor open to if anybody has any questions. David and I are happy to answer those.
We have one question. How does this been successful with other conferences? How successful has this been with other conferences?
I'm sure, David, we could probably both chime in on that. So I'll just, from my end, I think it's been really rewarding to see the results of, or the effect it's had on clients I've worked with, whether it's relieving them from tedious tasks or tasks that they don't have time to do, or maybe there's some clients who don't have event teams and technology isn't their strong suit. So it really helps us relieve that stress or that burden of working with technology. And I think the biggest reward I've gotten from clients utilizing VCM is just the outreach they're able to have with it, and really the message, how far they're able to spread their message, whether it's globally, whether it's accessibility wise, or whether it's, people can't travel, maybe they're sick, maybe there's a disability that prevents them from traveling, but yet they're still able to receive this message, attend this conference. And I think those have been some of the most rewarding, effects that I've experienced. I mean, David, I'm sure you have your own.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been fortunate to work with some really great companies here recently, and one just real quick example. I had an insurance company recently that took an opportunity. They have a very famous commercial actress who just really loves talking about insurance, and they brought her into the event, and people were able to kind of do selfies with her on their computer screen. So again, driving engagement, keeping the attendees excited about the event. I thought that was a really fun and an interesting way that they did that. And so just kind of wanted to share that. So yeah, really great event. I know we're kind of coming up on the time, so appreciate everybody's time in doing this. And hope maybe that you got something out of it. We have put our information up on the screen there, so please do contact us if you have any other additional questions or you want some more information. Please do keep the events 101 and the hybrid events in mind, and join us again in the future. And just really looking to make, again, I love people, so to make that connection with you, build those relationships, and see where we can help you out. So thank you very much, and look forward to hopefully meeting you soon.
Thank you, everyone.